Joe is in the doctor's office. The doctor said, "The good news is I can cure your headaches. The bad news is that it will require castration. You have a very rare condition which causes your testicles to press up against the base of your spine, and the pressure creates one hell of a headache. The only way to relieve the pressure is to remove the testicles." Joe was shocked and depressed. He wondered if he had anything to live for. He couldn't concentrate long enough to answer, but decided he had no choice but to go under the knife. When he left the hospital, he was headache-free for the first time in over 20 years, but he felt as if he was missing an important part of himself. As he walked down the street, he realized he felt like a different person. He could make anew, beginning and live a new life. He saw a men's clothing store and thought, "That's what I need, a new suit." The elderly salesman eyed him quickly and said, "Let's see, you're a size 44 long." Joe laughed and said, "That's right, how did you know?" "Been in the business 60 years. Joe tried on the suit. It fit perfectly. As Joe admired himself in the mirror, the tailor asked, "How about a new shirt?" Joe thought for a moment and then said, "Sure. Let's see, 16.5 neck, 34 sleeve." Joe was surprised. "How did you know?" "Been in the business 60 years. The shirt fit perfectly. As Joe looked at himself in the mirror, the salesman said, "You could use new shoes." Since Joe was on a roll, he said, "Sure." The man eyed Joe's feet and said, 9 to 2E. Joe was astonished. "That's right, how did you know?" "Been in the business 60 years. Joe tried on the shoes, and they also fit perfectly. As Joe walked comfortably around the shop, the salesman asked, "How about new underwear?" Joe thought for a second and said, "Why not?" The man stepped back, eyed Joe's waist and said, "Let's see, size 36. Joe laughed. "Finally, I've got you. I've worn size 32 since I was 18 years old." The tailor shook his head. "You can't wear a size 32. Size 32 underwear would press your testicles against the base of your spine and give you one hell of a headache." Walking through Chinatown, a tourist is fascinated with all the Chinese restaurants, shops, signs, and banners. He turns a corner and sees a building with the sign, Hans Olafsson's Laundry. "Hans Olafsson?" he muses. "How the heck does that fit in here?" So he walks into the shop and sees an old Chinese gentleman behind the counter. The tourist asks, "How did this place get a name like Hans Olafsson's Laundry?" The old man answers, "Is name of owner." The tourist asks, "Well, who and where is the owner?" "Me is right here," replies the old man. "You? How did you ever get a name like Hans Olafsson?" "Is simple," says the old man. "Many, many year ago, when come to this country, was stand in line at documentation center. Man in front was big blonde Swede. Lady look at him and go, 'What's your name?' He say, 'Hans Olafsson.' Then she look at me and go, 'What's your name?' I say, 'Sem Ting.'" A doctor at an insane asylum decided to take his patients to a baseball game. For weeks in advance, he coached his patients to respond to his commands. When the day of the game arrived, everything went quite well. As the national anthem started, the doctor yelled, "Up nuts!" and the patients complied by standing up. After the anthem, he yelled, "Down nuts!" and they all sat back down in their seats. After a home run was hit, the doctor yelled, "Cheer nuts!" They all broke out into applause and cheered. When the umpire made a particularly bad call against the star of the home team, the doctor yelled, "Boo nuts!" and they all started booing and catcalling. Comfortable with their response, the doctor decided to go get a beer and a hot dog, leaving his assistant in charge. When he returned, there was a riot in progress. Finding his missing assistant, the doctor asked, "What in the world happened?" The assistant replied, "Well, everything was going just fine until this guy walked," by and yelled, "Peanuts!" A teacher told her young class to ask their parents for a family story with a moral at the end of it, and to return the next day to tell their stories. In the classroom the next day, Joe gave his example first. My dad is a farmer, and we have chickens. One day, we were taking lots of eggs to market in a basket on the front seat of the truck when we hit a big bump in the road. The basket fell off the seat, and all the eggs broke. The moral of the story is not to put all your eggs in one basket. Very. Good, said the teacher. Next, Mary said, we are farmers too. We had 20 eggs waiting to hatch, but when they did, we only got 10 chicks. The moral of this story is not to count your chickens before they're hatched. Very good, said the teacher again, very pleased with the response so far. Next, it was Barney's turn to tell his story. My dad told me this story about my Aunt Karen. Aunt Karen was a flight engineer in the war, and her plane got hit. She had to bail out over enemy territory, and all she had was a bottle of whiskey, a machine gun, and a machete. Go on, said the teacher, intrigued. Aunt Karen drank the whiskey on the way down to prepare herself. Then she landed right in the middle of 100 enemy soldiers. She killed 70 of them with the machine gun until she ran out of bullets. Then she killed 20 more with the machete till the blade broke. And then she killed the last 10 with her bare hands. Good heavens, said the horrified teacher. What did your father say was the moral of that frightening story? Stay away. From Aunt Karen when she's been drinking. A blonde pilot decided she wanted to learn how to fly a helicopter. She went to the airport, but the only one available was a solo helicopter. The instructor figured he could let her go up alone since she was already a pilot for small planes, and he could instruct her by radio. So up the blonde went. She reached 1,000 feet and everything was going smoothly. She reached 2,000 feet. The blonde and the instructor kept talking via radio. Everything was running smoothly. At 3,000 feet, the helicopter suddenly came down quickly. It skimmed the top of some trees and crash landed in the woods. The instructor jumped into his Jeep and rushed out to see if the blonde was okay. As he reached the edge of the woods, the blonde was walking out. What happened? The instructor asked. All was going so well until you reached 3,000 feet. What happened then? Well, began the blonde, I got cold, so I turned off the ceiling fan. A girl was given a tea set for her second birthday. It became one of her favorite toys, and when her mother went away for a few weeks to care for her sick aunt, the toddler loved to take her father a little cup of tea, which was just water, really. While he was engrossed watching the news on TV, he sipped each cup of tea he was brought and lavished generous praise on the taste, leaving the little girl immensely proud. Eventually, the mother returned home, and the father couldn't wait to show her how his little princess had been looking after him. On cue, the girl took him his cup of tea, and he sipped it before praising it to the heavens. The mother watched him drink it and said, "Did it ever occur to you that the only place she can reach to get water is the toilet?" A young ventriloquist is touring Norway and puts on a show in a small fishing town. With his dummy on his knee, he starts going through his usual dumb blonde jokes. Suddenly, a blonde woman in the 4th row stands on her chair and starts shouting, "I've heard enough of your stupid blonde jokes." What makes you think you can stereotype Norwegian blonde women that way? What does the color of a woman's hair have to do with her worth as a human being? It's men like you who keep women like me from being respected at work and in the community, and from reaching our full potential as people. It's people like you that make others think that all blondes are dumb. You and your kind continue to perpetuate discrimination against not only blondes, but women in general. Pathetically, all in the name of humor. The embarrassed ventriloquist begins to apologize, and the blonde interrupts yelling, "You stay out of this. I'm talking to that little shit on your lap." An older, white-haired man walked into a jewelry store one Friday evening with a beautiful young gal at his side. He told the jeweler he was looking for a special ring for his girlfriend. The jeweler looked through his stock and brought out a $5,000 ring and showed it to him. The old man said, "I don't think you understand. I want something very special." At that statement, the jeweler went to his special stock and brought another ring over. "Here's a stunning ring at only $40,000. The jeweler said. The young lady's eyes sparkled and her whole body trembled with excitement. The old man, seeing this, said, "We'll take it." The jeweler asked how payment would be made, and the old man stated, by check. I know you need to make sure my check is good. So I'll write it now, and you can call the bank Monday to verify the funds, and I'll pick the ring up Monday afternoon, he said. Monday morning, a very teed-off jeweler phoned the old man. There's no money in that account. I know, said the old man. But can you imagine the weekend I had?